Hello,
Hello,
Ed.
Mario.
How are you?
Baruch Hashem. Good. How are you?
Good. I see you're in town for a change.
In town for a change. Exactly.
Mhm.
Yep. We doing Surah tonight? Yeah.
Yes, at 8.
Yeah.
Well, that was the original plan.
Works.
On Monday I couldn't be at the shiur, and yesterday I forgot completely it was 5. I was sitting there waiting for 7 o'clock. And,
I mean,
we're in 86, right?
we're on 85 at the bottom.
Hmm?
85 at the bottom after the Mishnah.
Oh,
Two from the bottom.
yeah,
Was.
yeah. Hmm.
Another month with this fucking business.
That's it. Maybe a month, yeah. Hello.
Hello, Ernie.
Hi, good evening. Mario, there's not gonna be any sorbet tonight because I'm still
Oh,
I'm still a little jet lagged, so I'm gonna take a
okay. I remember I wrote that there was going to be one,
yeah.
so
We may have to send one.
yeah, I will.
We are on Pay Vav 86. Actually, we'll start from
Hey,
Hey the Gemara.
yeah.
Pay on my base. Torah Hiktra kohen it's a kolam is that the coin has to burn everything. The rabbis had somos vagidin v'karayim v'tlafayim to include bones, tendons, hooves, and horns, not just the meat and the blood. If they are mechuber to the animal, not separately. But Yachol afilu perish, I might think that even if they had separated, you could offer them Talmud loymar vasita losecha basar vadam. That lechatchila only the basar and the dam. The basar v'dam. If we only had that final pasuk, Yachol Yachol Tzkidin Vatzomis, that you might have thought you have to remove the tendons and the bones. V'yala basar gabi mizbech, only the meat. Talmud Lomar, v'yiktira kohenes hakol. Ha-ketzad. So how do you make sure you fulfill both psukim? Mechubar and yalu. As long as they're attached to the original animal, then you can offer them. If they're separated, even if later on they were put up, you have to take them down. Man Tana de Shamus Ledomer Pirshu Yerdu. Who was the Tana that said that these items on a separate basis, if they were put up, you have to put them down? The Tanya Rebbe. He learns like this: Vikira Konas Hakolam is Bechal. The rabbis had Hatzomes Vagidim Vakanayim Vatlafayim to include the bones and the tendons, the hoofs and the horns. Afilu Pirshu, and even Lachatchila, maybe even if they've separated. So then Elamani Makayim Vasisul Asecha Basar Vadam, then what are you fulfilling when you say you have to put the basar v'dam? Lo lecha ikulei ola tamachzir. We talked about if the fire had thrown off pieces from the mizbeach, you put them back. I would have thought only the ola do you machzir. V'yata mazri kula gidim vatzomis. For example, if the tendons and the bones had been thrown off, I don't return it. And that's how the Tanna Kama learns. Rebbe Yomer, Kosuv Echad Omer, Vikira Kones HaKol Mizbecha Riba. That's an inclusionary statement, everything. Kosuv Echad Omer, Vasidu Chazar Basar Adam, which is now limits, Miyet, HaKetzat, Mechubar and Yalu, that if the bones and the hoofs are connected, you can put them up. Pirshu, Afilei Barasham Mizbech Yerdu. Even if they were separated, you have to take them down. So Rabbi says, Pirshu, that if they're separate from the korban, you got to remove them. Rav Zera, Lo yishonu al shapirshu klapi mata. They separated and they were sort of going away from the mizbeach. Aval b'klapi mala. But if they went closer, kruvi huda krivi liikol. They can stay there. Afilu pirshu, even if they're separate from the korban itself. Rab hachi kamer. Lo yishon al shapirshu lachar zrika. All of this they can remain if it had separated after zrika sadama. Fal pirshu kodem zrika. If they had separated prior, also zrika shresinu. The zrika permits them. You could even make handles for knives. They are not considered problematic. You can use them. It says it should belong to the kohen. The never lo yeh ba'asham. It says the same thing by Nosham. Just like the kohen can use the bones of an asham, of oilat samas mutarim. And mufni, this gzera shava is free and clear. Ilo mifni, ikel mifrach, malo asham shkem sra mutar. Maybe the reason an asham would be different because you're allowed to eat the meat, and Allah is not. We go back to Darshan. It says, Lo yiyeh, should belong to the Kohen. You say Riksiv. It is free and clear, available to be used for Gzer Shal. Maser Vavada Barava. Atzmos Kodshim with Nizrika Moyalim Behem. The bones of any Hegdish animal, prior to Zrika, if the Kohen benefits from it, you're Chayv Me'ila. La'achar Zrika ein Moyalim Behem. But there's no Me'ila after Zrika. But Vishal Oilam Moyalim Behem Loilam. The bones remain prohibited for use even after forever, even in Ola. So, Eima Vishal Oila Pirshul Lifnei Zrika ein Moyalim Behem. That if these are separated from the korban prior to Zrika, then there's no Me'ila. Because the Zrika mattered them. But La'achar Zrika Moyalim Behem Lo'ila. If they separated after Zrika, then there's always Me'ila. But Pligid Rabbi Lazar, Dam Rabbi Lazar, Pirshul Lifnei Zrika, if they separated prior to Zrika, Moyalim Behem, La'achar Zrika, Lo'inanin, but V'loy Moyalim. You can't benefit, but there's no Me'ila Midaraisa. It's only Rimid Rabbanon that they prohibit. Mishnah. Kulon shapokum al gabi mizbeach. If the fire throws them off, lo yachzer, you don't return them. B'kein gachelet shapokum al gabi mizbeach. A coal that's burning, that got thrown off, lo yachzir, you shouldn't put it back. But a vorm shapok back. What about the various limbs? Kodem chatzois yachzir. If it's part of chatzois, you can return it. And if you used it moyalin bayan, lachar chatzois lo yachzir. If they got kicked off after chatzois, you don't return it. Ve'ein moyalin bayan. But if you use them, there's no chiv meila. Kashem shem mizbeach mekadesh zaroylo. Just as the mizbeach makes kodesh, that which is fit for being put on the mizbeach. Kacha kevesh mekadesh. So too the ramp has the same din. Kashem shem mizbeach mekadesh mekadesh zaroylo hen. Kacha kelim mekadeshim. So too if you put something in a kli shores, like the kmitza, it's miskadesh. But what is this din before and after chatzois regarding the evorim? Hey chidami, idi ispe mashasha. If there's mamish to these limbs, afilach chatzois nami, they still should require burning and should return them to the mizbech. Idi lesbu mamish. If there's no mamashos, afilach chatzois nami lo. If there's no mamish to it, why return it at all? Lo tzricha b'sriri. These limbs have become hard, and they're fully burned, but they're not like a charcoal. They're not a coal. Then you'd have to return it if it's before chatzois. Where do we get this chatzois business? But not immediately. Amar Rav, kazu v'echad kol alayla v'hiktir, that the evorim are burnt all night. Kazu v'echad kol alayla v'herim. You burn it, and then you do trumas adeshan. You lift the ashes. So the first pasuk says, normally the evorim should be left on the mizbech the whole night. The other pasuk seems to suggest that if it's turned into ashes already, you don't have to leave it there. So chilkeu chetzel haktor v'chetzel harama. You divide the night into two. The first half is for burning. That ends with chatzois. The second half you can separate already from the mizbeach. Masif Rav Kahana b'chol yoim termes mizbeach. There was the avoid of trumas adeshan. When mikrois hagever oisamachlo, when the rooster called, either right before it, mafan of me'achrav. B'yom Kippur b'chatzois. They did Yom Kippur b'chatzois. B'regalim b'shmar sarishoina. At the end of the first third, on Yontiv. Because there was so much work, they needed to start earlier. But if the Zman is midaraisa from Chatzois, Hechi Magdina. How do we do it on Yontif? Because it's going to be a third, it's going to be before Chatzois. How can either you do it earlier or do it later on Yom Kippur? Since it already says all night, that the burning extends until the morning. You add sort of a boiker to the boiker, right? It's like pre-dawn. Hilka. Kol yoima, every day. Mikrosa gever sagi. Once you reach a little before the crowing of the rooster, that's all you need. B'yom Kippurim, mishum chosher Kohen Gadol, because we want the Kohen Gadol who has to do all the avoid himself. He starts the avoid earlier mechatzois. And b'regalim the nefisha korbanos. There's so many korbanos that have to be offered on Yontif to cut me also Yisrael. Why? Because so many Klal Yisrael Jews would be coming. So there you already start Mashmar Saboiker, the Trumas Hadesha. Kediktani Sefer, Lo Yitzak, Kiryas HaGever Magas, At Shaisa Zom Le'am Yisrael. That on Yontif, that there's so many Jews that had gathered in the Azara, by the time the rooster crowed, it was already full of people. Okay, stop here.
Tomorrow at 7?
Tomorrow at 7 again.
Okay.
Shkoyach, everybody.
What happened to the Tzuba Shir?
No Tsurba tonight. No Tsurba.
Everything okay?
Yeah. I'm just going to catch up on a little sleep.
Okay, and what about next week is Hanukkah, so we'll see. Okay,
Next week is not Hanukkah. Tuesday night, we'll have Tsurba.
it's Hanukkah next
This
week.
is Hanukkah.
Sure, it's Hanukkah.
Yeah, but it's not the first night.
Okay, but people are with family. Okay, we'll work it out.
We'll decide. We'll discuss.
All right.
Okay, catch up your
Okay.
sleep.
All right.
Bye.